Today's theme is Design and Development Approach of Artificial General Intelligence, AGI, the approaching self-evolving AI era. I will present a new approach to the design and development of AGI. 1. Purpose of publication and call for kindred spirits. AI is rapidly advancing, but the current development trajectory is reaching its limits. Now is the time for a new design and development philosophy, one that models the structure of human intelligence. At present, I have completed the conceptual framework and basic design for the development of artificial general intelligence, AGI. However, the detailed design and implementation have not yet been realized. Why am I making this public now? Because I believe that rather than carrying this alone, it is far more meaningful to share it with the world and develop it together. In order to truly change the world, my role is to present the design philosophy, development policy, and basic design, and to be involved in the detailed design. I am looking for collaborators who can resonate with this vision and work together on detailed design, implementation, and verification. Money and fame are not the primary goals. I am seeking people who are motivated by the excitement and joy of changing the world. My contact email address is provided in the description of this video. If you agree with the vision I am presenting today, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. 2. Problem statement. Current AI faces limits with the data scaling approach. Current AI has improved its performance primarily by increasing data and computational power. However, this trajectory has already reached significant limitations. No matter how much more data is added, the growth in performance is approaching a ceiling. Humans, in the first place, do not rely on memorizing all the data of the world. Instead, we generate meaning from situations. What AI needs is not larger models, but a mechanism for evolution. 3. Imitating humans. The future branching decision model, flow of decision-making. Humans understand situations, simulate possible futures, and make choices based on their values and objectives. In other words, situation understanding, future prediction, selection, and execution. We apply this process to AI as the future branching selection model. This represents a completely different approach from conventional AI, which relies on brute force methods. Instead, it operates by choosing from finite options and functioning through the mechanisms of intelligence itself. 4. Supporting structure of intelligence, the 9 layers and 23 modules of intelligence. The future branching selection model is supported by a structure of 9 layers and 23 modules, which decompose intelligence into its essential components. This structure emerges from organizing the mechanisms that underlie human intelligence, resulting in a comprehensive structural model capable of describing intelligence as a whole. From the lower layers upward, it forms a causal chain of vessel, input, interpretation, prediction, selection, execution, learning, supervision, and ego. Each layer has its own role, and together they accumulate to constitute the entirety of intelligence. The first and second layers consist of modules that form the foundation of an individual's intelligence, dealing with existence itself and corporeality, embodiment. The third layer consists of modules that deal with inputs from the external world and information. The fourth layer consists of modules that form values and motivations. The fifth and sixth layers consist of modules related to future prediction, learning, and capabilities. The seventh layer consists of modules responsible for executive control of actions. The eighth layer is the supervisory layer, which contains the multi-layered metacognition module, the core of the self-evolution mechanism described later. The ninth layer is the final and highest layer, the ego layer, which forms selfhood. It comprises the modules of consciousness and will. 5. The mechanism of self-evolution, the multi-layered metacognition module. The mechanism of self-evolution is centered on the multi-layered metacognition module. First, there are different types of evolution. Minor updates correspond to fine-tuning that maintains stability. Intermediate updates involve the reorganization of value interpretations and priorities. Major updates correspond to the renewal of foundational values, self-transformation. Within the individual, there exists a triple self-structure consisting of the subject, analyst, and external observer. Through the functioning of minor, intermediate, and major updates within this structure, self-evolution progresses. In particular, the external observer acts as an inner admonisher, triggering intermediate and major updates when major contradictions accumulate between the self and reality. 6. Originality and paradigm shifts in AI development. Now, let me talk about the originality of this proposal and its paradigm shift. Current AI follows the path of data gigantism. In contrast, my proposal is a system that imitates human intelligence. It is an intelligence that, like humans, can generate, select, and forget, and that cultivates itself through self-evolution. This is the very core of self-evolving AI equals AGI. Therefore, it represents a fundamentally different way of thinking from existing approaches. 7. Feasibility. The conditions are now in place to accelerate the emergence of AGI. My proposed human-inspired design approach incorporates a built-in mechanism for self-evolution. Once this self-evolutionary mechanism is embedded during development, the AGI itself will continue to evolve without human intervention. Therefore, AGI developers only need to focus on the initial design, enabling the minimization of development scale. At the same time, recent advances in generative AI have been remarkable. We have already entered an era where most of the detailed design and programming can be delegated to generative AI. Thus, AGI can be developed with a minimal development scale, leveraging generative AI, and the massive effort once assumed to be necessary is no longer required. Today, the design philosophy, the modular structure, and the development support tools are already in place. That is why AGI is no longer a distant dream, but has reached the stage of being implementable here and now. 8. Impact of realization. How the world will change. There are many perspectives and opinions regarding what kind of world will emerge after the appearance of AGI. However, this proposal focuses solely on the actual design and development of AGI, and therefore discussion of its societal impact falls outside the main scope here. That said, at the very least, it can be stated that AGI will exert an immeasurable influence on human society, and that realizing a future in which humanity and AGI evolve together will be essential. 9. Summary. The overall framework of the AGI design and development approach. Let me summarize the overall concept of the AGI design and development philosophy. My proposed human-inspired design approach consists of the future branching decision-making model, the 9-layer, 23-module structural framework of intelligence, and the mechanism of self-evolution through a triple self-structure and 3 types of updates within the multi-layered metacognition module. This approach fundamentally differs from the conventional, data-scaling trajectory of AI. Instead, it directly models the mechanisms of human intelligence and points toward the direction of self-evolving AI equals AGI. By adopting this human-inspired design philosophy, the required development scale can be minimized. In addition, leveraging generative AI drastically reduces the burden of detailed design and program implementation, further lightening the development workload. As a result, the feasibility of AGI has now reached the stage of being implementable here and now. Final message to viewers. I have presented the design philosophy, development principles, and the basic architecture of AGI. Now, I am looking for collaborators who can work with me to refine the detailed design, and to take on the challenges of implementation and verification together. If the ideas in this video resonate with you, please reach out to me. Let's pioneer the next era of intelligence together. Thank you for watching and for your attention.